Hi there. It's been a while, but I wanted to talk today about Cassandra Clare's newest book, Chain of Gold. And then I realized that while, yes, I do want to talk about Chain of Gold, I more specifically wanted to talk about the book in general and how the world has affected me. It's no surprise that I'm in quarantine at home just like the rest of the world, and just like the rest of the world, I have suffered a lot of losses over the past month. Real life sucks a lot right now. So in this unexpected downtime, I've been doing the one thing that I always find helps me escape. I've been reading, and this book came out at the perfect time. I mean, the city is in a lockdown. They're in quarantine. Did Cassandra Clare know what was going to happen? But it goes back even further than that. Last February, I was going through a lot. A different sort of struggle than what the world is going through right now. But I was immensely overwhelmed, and then I was sick, and then I was so sick, but I was so busy that I couldn't take the time to rest. My whole life felt like it was in absolute overdrive. I decided at the time the best thing to do would be to go back and reread some books instead of reading anything new that might distract me. At the time, I had also just finished Cassandra Clare's newest book, Queen of Air and Darkness, the end of the Dark Artifices series, and I was longing to be with the characters from the Mortal Instrument world once more. So I did my reread, and at first I thought I was just going to reread the Mortal Instruments, and then suddenly I was rereading the Bane Chronicles and the Shadowhunter Academy and all of the stories that come in between. And then I was rereading the Dark Artifices and Queen of Air and Darkness once again. At that point, it had been months of a complete Shadowhunters Chronicles reread. I hadn't read most of these books since I was in grade 8. It had been about 6 years, and the impact was enormous. I'd forgotten how much I just loved and adored these characters. I'd forgotten how much the stories progress, how the writing just gets better and better as it goes, and how you really feel like you are a part of these stories. At the time, I was also doing a lot of reflecting on my childhood and different stories from my past for a school assignment, and I realized just how much reading these books had affected me growing up in the most wonderful, positive way. YA in general really shaped and informed the person I am today. I am so fortunate that I grew up reading books with these brave women who are willing to stand up for what was right and do the right thing. And of course, at 13 years old, I looked at these characters who were so much older than me and thought, that'll be me one day. And then suddenly you're 20 years old and you're not taking down governments, but you see yourselves represented in these characters in more subtle ways. And I think that is what makes all the difference. Over the summer, I took a break from the world of the Shadowhunters to read some nice and light contemporary novels, and then suddenly I was starting my final year of university, and I was so busy, but I decided that I would reread The Infernal Devices before going into Chain of Gold, which takes place after, and the characters are the children of the characters in The Infernal Devices. Picking up Clockwork Angel last month was like coming home. The Infernal Devices, just like the Mortal Instruments, I hadn't read in 6 years. And to be quite honest, I had forgotten the majority of the plot lines of the series. I remembered very specific moments that had made me laugh, and I remembered the feelings I associated with specific pages. I remembered the overarching theme of the stories, and of course I remembered how it all ended. But so much of it was like reading it for the first time. I was inspired in a very different way as a woman at 20 years old than I was when I was 13. And going into Chain of Gold, I was so excited after getting bits and pieces of these characters in all of the short stories and novellas over the years. I could not wait to make new friends in a way. I guess I'm sharing all this because it's only really been in the past year when I have not been making BookTube videos that I've realized just how important young adult literature has been in my life. I had Clary, who was an artist, who was thrust into this world but who still fought for justice. We had badass Isabel Lightwood, and we had Maya in these books. I had Tessa Gray, who asked just as many questions as I did and who loved to read as much as I did. I had Emma Carstairs. She's such a modern woman and I love her. We had Christina, who was kind and loyal and patient. And now we have Lucy Herondale, a writer. Side note, if we ever decide to make movies of The Last Hours, I would like to throw my name in for casting for Lucy Herondale. Thank you very much. I promise I'll make sure these movies stay true to the books. Actors actually have no control over that, but like, I'm just saying. And of course, we have Cordelia Carstairs. Cordelia is everything you could wish for in a heroine, and she is also a woman of color lead. Reflecting on how much having these badass females meant to me growing up makes me aware of how lucky I was to get to see myself represented in this way. It is rare to see such badass women, and we're getting better about it, but for me growing up, I found that in young adult literature. I wasn't seeing it on television, I wasn't seeing it in movies, and there are people of color, and especially women of color, who see that even less than I do, way less than I do. It makes me so incredibly happy to know that there are women of color out there who are as big of fans of the Shadowhunter Chronicles as I am, who are now seeing themselves represented in a different way. Cassandra Clare has always done a really good job of representation in her books. I talk about it a bit in my Chain of Gold book review, which you can check out. In her first ever series, we had a gay male lead and we had a bisexual male lead, and since then, this world has expanded with our world, which is getting there on being more open. Still have a lot of work to do, but getting there. We have characters representing a lot more of the LGBTQ plus spectrum now. We have more characters of color, and of course Cassandra Clare has always had badass female leads, which I've always appreciated. With Cassie's writing, it doesn't feel like she is trying to check something off of a list. Her more recent books have even more diversity, and it's not just, okay, here's my gay character, here's my character of color. She does a good job of writing the world as it actually is. Rereading these books has been such an emotional journey. I love these characters so much. I've already decided I am naming my daughter Tessa one day. She will either have two great loves, or she will be an Olympic athlete and Canada's sweetheart. That's right, I'm also a Tessa and Scott fan. I cannot wait for the rest of the Last Hours trilogy, and I cannot wait for these wicked powers. Cassandra Clare, keep it coming. I will never stop reading your books. Thank you very much. And thank you, viewer, for watching this whole rambly video that's really just me sharing my emotions, because while I'm in quarantine, I haven't had much of an outlet. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Check out my Chain of Gold book review. I will see you next time. Bye!